Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the press conference today. We'll be introducing you to the brand new Bay FC head coach, Emma Coates. Thank you for joining us today, and of course, a special thanks to our partners, as Sutter Health, Content Stack, and Cowtrain, as well for joining us. We also have members that I saw as well from our supporter groups. Can you please raise your hands, your season ticket members? There we are. Bridge Brigade, along with not one, but two of our brand new supporter groups. They will be kicking off next season, Pier 75 and Bay Imperio. Thank you for being here as well. We also have our community members, our community partners that are very important to us at BFC, Women's Coaching Alliance, Bossy, Life Learning Academy. Thank you for being one of our key community partners. We appreciate you as well. This is it. We're happy to welcome all of you today to introduce you to the new Bay FC head coach, Emma Coates. Now, joining Emma on stage, it is the one who also made all of this happen. Put in the work. Please help me also welcome Bay Collective CEO, Kay Cossington.
Thank you.
Let's see if it's on.
I think we're on.
It is on. There it is. Now, in just a moment, we're going to open the floor for all the media questions. But before we do that, and before I ask my questions that I also have, I would like to give both of you the opportunity to introduce yourselves.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the welcome, and thank you for everybody taking the time to come here today. What an incredible day, what an incredible backdrop, and super excited to welcome Emma Coates to San Francisco, the Bay Area, and Bay FC. So we're looking forward to having some more conversations with you. So I'm Kate Cossington, CEO of Bay Collective, and oversee and lead the sporting side of Bay FC. And I think one of the things that's really, really exciting for me and for us this season is really driving a real clear, established style of play that all of you guys are going to get super excited about next season. So we want to have a really distinctive Bay FC style that's going to drive winning mentality and get the most and the best out of all of our players and our roster. So we're super excited about that. When we went on the journey to look at what a head coach needed to have and what the key credentials are, it was about somebody that has the experience and has truly been there in developing players, developing systems and styles, and has won things. And I'm delighted to say that the lady sitting next to me right now ticks all of those boxes. And I hope that you can get as excited as what we all are at the club for 2026 and our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kay.
Thank you. Amazing. Well, listen, guys, I'm super thankful and privileged to be sat here. I mean, I'm looking out at you guys, I'm looking out at the view, and I just think what an incredible moment. So, as I say, I just want to say thank you for being here and giving us a chance for myself to be introduced to you guys. The first conversation I had with Kay about this opportunity, I could tell it was going to be something special. I think what's been built so far, of this club and the expansion and the identity that's been created in the first 2 years, I think is something really incredible. I fell in love with the place the first time I came to visit, and I think the thing I'm most excited about is taking the club to the next level, building on the identity that exists and putting in place a style of play that gets you guys on the edge of the seat, gets you excited coming down to PayPal Park, and hopefully putting us in a position to not just compete, but to win and sustain success at the top level. And that's what's going to drive me every single day to make you guys really proud.
Welcome. Of course. Emma, I think the question that everyone wants to know, have you ever been on a boat for a press conference before?
I haven't, and I thought, I must admit, I came on the boat and I thought, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm this nervous. Turns out it's the boat, so we're all right, we're good.
It is a boat, yeah. I got my motion sickness here, just in case, you just never know. But there it is, yeah. Coach Emma doesn't need it. She's ready. Now, you mentioned about the first conversation that you have with Kay. Can you take us back about when that happened? When did you first heard about this opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, well, firstly, my relationship with Kay goes back like a long, long time. From when obviously I worked back in club in England, and obviously we worked together in the international space. And it was probably maybe a year ago. I think we were, I think maybe sitting in an SLT meeting, or I think you called me actually, and she'd explained that she was leaving the FA, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to lose this incredible leader, this incredible person, and all the things that she's built. And she was telling us around Bay and what Bay Collective is, and all the things that we're trying to build. And that's probably when the curiosity around this sort of started. And I've always considered, where's my career going to go next, and how do I challenge myself and take myself to the next level and go on this journey with incredible people and an incredible environment. And when we first had the conversations as time passed, and we started talking around it, it just got me really excited, because I've seen all the things that Kay's built, and that's already been built here. And I'm just super excited to be on this journey with Kay, because I know we're going to be building something really special.
Absolutely. Now, Kay, when did you know that Emma was the one for the job?
I think, as Emma says, we've known each other for a long time, and I've known for a long time that she's an exceptional talent. And I think I've had the pleasure and privilege of watching her work with players, watching her work with teams, watching her work with other incredible staff. And I always thought that there was going to be a real great, incredible pathway for her. I'm super honoured and privileged that we can be part of her journey collectively, because I think that this is going to be a great step for her, but also for our club. So for me, there's, when we think about the criteria that we're looking for a coach of a club of this nature, and the ambition that we have as a club, she was right up there at the top. So I'm delighted that she was looking also to come on this adventure and share this challenge.
Absolutely. Now, Emma, obviously this is a brand new challenge for you as well, coming to the US, taking on an NWSL team. What were the things that you saw about Bay FC and the project that they have for the future that got you excited to be a part of it?
Yeah, I know. I'm a big believer that obviously football's bigger than football, right? I think that football is something that you fall in love with as a child, as a young player, and it's certainly something I fell in love with as a really young age. And one thing that I've consistently read about the club, heard about the club, is how people fall in love with the area, with the club, the things that people feel connected to. I met Brandy yesterday for a coffee, and I could just see the pride of the club and the identity sort of like oozing out of her. And when you put all those things together, I think that's when you know that it's going to be an exciting journey.
Yeah, Brandy, I'm pretty sure Brandy and Ali, they all live like 5 minutes away from PayPal Park. They all go on a jog in the morning before game day. So you see that they're very intense. Everyone's extremely passionate about it. Now, how familiar, obviously, you are with the NWSL when this first opportunity came about, and how familiar are you with San Francisco?
Yeah, I mean,
was it your first time here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, obviously we come over when we started. Obviously, this opportunity came up. We were obviously talking about the club, and Kay was like, listen, you need to come out. So we flew out, and I'm like, okay, I'm from a little village in North Yorkshire, and it couldn't get more polar opposites, if I'm honest. I can see the sun, there's some blue skies, there's some water.
When was the last time that you saw the sun, Emma? You can tell us.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Time ago. So, coming across, and we spent yesterday with my husband looking for the right place to live, and it's really a tough choice, right? Because it's such a beautiful area, and you look at the NWSL and the growth of the women's game and everything that's happening over here, I think is sort of, a super exciting thing to be part of, because I think it really is shaping and driving, top tier women's football around the world, and I just want to be part of that.
Have you had the time to explore San Francisco a little bit?
No, but I'm really jealous because my husband's out there now, having a little look around.
He didn't come to the press conference?
No, he's
Priorities, yeah. San Francisco is beautiful. I don't blame them, but yeah. We'll have a talk with them after, please. On that topic about what to do in San Francisco, do you have any recommendations to Emma?
Yeah, I've had the fortunate experience of coming and visit lots of different things, coming and see some live sport, which was amazing. I actually went on a trip to Alcatraz a couple of trips ago, and I absolutely loved it because I love history and things. So yeah, there's plenty of things to do. I'm sure they're going to have a great time. And there's plenty of sun, which we do not get in England.
That is true. Probably put the sun on the contract here. Yeah. That's one of the reasons you signed it. Now, talking about the priorities of finding the new head coach for Bay FC, what was your main priorities in finding it?
Yeah, so I think having been in the game for a long time and employed a lot of coaches in different roles, I think the successes that we've had in previous environments has been around the leadership of a coach, the ability to really develop and embed a clear, consistent style of play, which the players understand, the staff understand, the fans understand, and everyone can get behind and get excited by. And it sounds really obvious, but that's a real kind of finite piece. We wanted to look for somebody that's got experience in working in and around the top aspects of the game, both at domestic and international, specifically for the women's game. We wanted someone with experience that's developed players. I mean, we've got someone here that developed 27 players through from the under-23s to the senior lionesses that have competed at World Cups and European Championships. I mean, I struggle to find anyone that's got those kind of statistics. So, you know, we were looking for a bit of a unicorn and someone that was a pro-licensed female coach, ideally, that has competed, and as I say, at the highest levels of the game. And welcome to Emma Coates, guys.
And you sure found just that, okay?
We did. I think, you know, it's tough because the game's still growing and evolving, and coaches in the game, as we all know, are still growing and evolving. And I feel really blessed that, and we should feel blessed that we've got somebody that literally meets every single one of those criteria. So, yeah, we're delighted.
Amazing. Now, Emma, would this be one of your priorities as well? Or what would be your priority when you come to BFC? Will be developing the players, or how do you first start?
Yeah, well, we've probably already started, to be fair. I think that the first thing for me is really understanding, you know, what's the direction of the club, what's the identity, what's already in a really great place that we can continue to build on. And, you know, I'm a real big believer of, I don't particularly like to be the centre of attention. I think the way that I work is how do I bring out the best in all the staff and all the players. You know, it's more than just what am I going to implement, it's what do I wrap around the people to make sure that we can all deliver consistency and deliver at the top level. So as Kay sort of said, what's the identity of the club and how do we harness what already exists? How do we develop a really clear style of play that's exciting for you guys to watch? I also think it should be really fun for the players to play and really hard for us to play against as well. So they're the things that will be our priority.
Tell me more about that. What is the playing style like?
Yeah, I mean, I want us to play possession-based football. I want us to be the fact that I want us to be exciting to watch. I want us to play forward regularly, but I want us to play with variety. So how do we challenge the opposition so that we're really hard to play against? We're really unpredictable. We're asking lots of questions of the opposition, and I think if we can develop a principle-led way of playing and that we can allow the players to make decisions and play the games because we know that that's the direction that the game's going in. I think that's going to give us a really good platform from an in-possession point of view. And, you know, when we're without the ball, we just want to be really hard to play against. You know, can we be aggressive? Can we press high? Can we be really difficult to beat? Can we, you know, make sure that we're protecting our, you know, goal and our box, and whether we do that with a high press or we need to go a little bit lower, that'll be game to game. But we'll definitely be hard to play against this year for sure.
Oh, we love that. We love that for sure. Now, obviously, coming with you is also Gemma, which has been your assistant coach for many, many years.
Yeah.
How important, that can go to you as well, okay, but how important is for you to also have her here with you?
Yeah, I think it's really important, and I'll say now it's okay if you get us confused for the first little bit because it happens. It happens regularly. Yeah, I think it's really important. I think it's really rare in football to find people that you just connect with and that you trust. You know, and I think that speaks volumes of our relationship. We've known each other a long time, but we've worked together for the past 3 seasons, and we really are. While we're very similar, we're very different. We work really well together. Gemma comes to life on the pitch. She's thinks differently about the game. She's really forward thinking. She's really strong with how she delivers like her technical practices, and my job is how do we give her the freedom to do that and deliver her best so that I can sort of operate at a higher level from that point of view. So we really do work well together because we're very similar but we're very different at the same time. So I'm pleased that you come along, friend. Yeah.
Welcome to Gemma as well, everybody. There it is. I watched the interview that you and Gemma gave, and I think you said it, that it's you, both of you are basically the yin and yang. You complement each other, and I think that's very, very important, very special. Now, last question before we jump to the media questions with the one and only Jeff Houston. Okay, we have obviously a new head coach. Can we also expect some new player announcements very soon?
Yeah, I think obviously the first step was to get our new coach across the line and also now start to build out the technical team, as we've just mentioned. Obviously delighted that Gemma has joined Emma, and I think just on the note you mentioned the last question, I think I was very fortunate to watch the two of them deliver for the England under-23s team many times, and every time I walked away from the pitch having watched them work, filled me with such confidence that they are the yin and yang. They're same but different, and they're an incredible partnership. So our next piece is around building the rest of the technical team around them, because that's going to be integral as we start to move forwards. And of course, we want to make sure that we can bring players in that can fit the style of play that now we want to adopt. But we also want to maximise the players that we have. We've got some incredible people in the roster, and we want to make sure we can get the best out of them too, and they enjoy and flourish under the leadership of Emma.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Kate. Thank you so much,
welcome.
Emma. Now I'm going to kick it off to our Vice President of PR, Jeff Houston, to open to media questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Duda. All right, we'll go ahead and at this time we'll open it up to questions. So we do ask for media, if you have questions and you're in the room, raise your hand. If you're on the Zoom, use the raise your hand feature and we'll try to get you called on as well. When I do call on you, just ask that you identify yourself and your outlet, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So we're going to start right up here in the front row with Marissa.
Hi there, Emma. Welcome to the Bay. Kay, I'm curious, this process, you guys had a little bit of runway of knowing that you guys were going to hire a coach. What did that process look like, and how many people did you consider?
There was a lot of people that we considered, but I think we were able to funnel that down pretty quickly. So the first point of that was establishing exactly what the coach looked like. So what was the key experiences and skills that were important to us in this next phase of Bay. And we very quickly got to a defined list of what we felt we needed and wanted. We then correlated that on a global search, so looking across the market, of which working with key stakeholders around who those people might be that fit that criteria. And as you would imagine from the criteria that I've mentioned, that list very quickly gets small. And then out of that list, it's then around obviously a deeper dive into those individuals around their suitability for the role and also accessibility, and whether that's something that these individuals want to be part of. And we very quickly come to a final decision with Emma.
All right, next, Ann.
Thanks.
We'll just
Hi,
keep working down the road.
Ann Killian with the San Francisco Chronicle. Welcome. Kay, you just got a little round of applause when you mentioned that having a female coach was a priority. And I'm wondering if you could just address that and the importance of female leadership in a female league.
For sure. I think I'm a big fan of female role models, and I think the game is still growing and evolving in terms of giving female coaches the opportunity to actually have professional jobs. As we know, these roles wasn't here before, and when I was coaching with national teams, these roles wasn't available, and I think we have a duty and a responsibility to keep pushing forward great people. And my view is, for some of our female coaches in the industry globally, we don't just need to be good, we need to be great. And I think we've got somebody great here right now, and we want to give greatness opportunity, and I think that's an opportunity that's been afforded to us, and I think that's important for us in the women's game to keep providing those opportunities.
Emma, could you address that too?
Yeah, I think it's really important, and it's not just myself that's coming over as a female leader with a pro license, as is Gemma. I think between us, we obviously give that platform, and I know growing up there wasn't a huge amount of coaches for me to look up to. I was really lucky, the fact that my dad was a football coach, and that was what was visible to me. So the fact that as I've worked through my career, I've had the privilege of working with people like Kay and people that I've seen that are females that are leading in those spaces. I think it's so important that we that firstly we've been given that opportunity, and that there's space for females essentially to lead, and hopefully that will just generate more future female coaches at the top level.
Hi guys, welcome. Evan Webeck with the San Jose Mercury News. It's clear that it's a bit of a British invasion here to Bay FC. So I'm just curious what you think, or what you hope to bring over from that style of soccer, and Kay, you've been here for a little while, maybe what the differences are and what some of the challenges could be.
Yeah. I'll go first. First of all, I think we're really excited to be part of the NWSL. I think when I was playing a long time ago now, I'd always dreamt to play in the NWSL, and it just wasn't that natural to make that transition at that time, and the same with coaching. I think what we think we can bring to Bay and also to the league is a really deliberate, intentional style of play that gets the best out of the players and the team and maximises those opportunities. I think Emma specifically and how she looks at the game and how we think that we can play as a club, I think is going to be really attractive to the players and hopefully to the community around us as well. And I think we can bring that. And I think the important thing is we have coaches and we've got, as in Emma and Gemma, that have been coaching for many, many years. So they bring a wealth of experience around developing players, developing teams, winning football matches and achieving success. And I think that whether we're from England, Britain, or wherever it may be, I think that's going to be a super strength to bring to this club and to this area.
Yeah, no, thank you. As sort of Kay said, you know, throughout my career, it's all I've ever done, really. I've learned about life with the ball at my feet, right? And there's lots of things that I've learned from club football in England or from, you know, being the part of the extended technical team, the senior Lionesses over the past few tournaments. And I think the bit that I really want to implement is that how do we play with variety and how do we create a style of play that suits the identity of the club, but the players that we have, it brings out the best of them. And I think that's something that, you know, working really closely with Serena over the past couple of seasons, it's something that I've really learned from her. And those are the things that I'd like to bring across to Bay.
All right, we'll go to Paula.
Paula Mariuri, San Francisco, California, 10 a.m. Welcome to the Bay Area. Let's talk about your coaching philosophy and what will be the biggest adjustment. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I think that the biggest adjustment right now would just be the challenges that the leagues provide, probably more logistically, from like how do we, you know, I think the football part of it is the bit that I think I'd find a lot more comfortable. It's how do we work with some of the challenges of, you know, we're flying cross country and I've been used to that in international football, but what does it look like over a sustained period of time? And I think that's the bit that, you know, the bit that I really like about my job is the problem solving part of it. I love it. It's probably my favourite part about coaching. How do you consistently solve those problems? So while it's a challenge, I also think it's just an opportunity to go, how do we think differently about things and provide good performance solutions to help us, you know, win football matches essentially. But I think that's probably going to be the biggest challenge and adjustment for me.
All right, we're going to go to the second row.
Hi, Alex Simon from SFGate. Emma, welcome. Obviously, I'm sure you've watched a lot of the team in the time. Last year, they were the fewest goals of everyone in the NWSL. I think it was only 1 goal per match as an average. What things can be changed up front, or what things are you hoping to kind of tweak about this team to generate more of the excitement and the goals and the football that you're hoping to bring here?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just develop that clarity in how we want to play. I think once we develop the clarity in the style of play and the principles that we want to implement, is giving the players confidence and bravery to execute that. I think my eyes are firmly on how do we build towards success for next season while not losing some of the lessons, obviously from the seasons that have gone. But for me, it's you know, it's a new era, and it's how do we implement that clarity to take us to that next level.
And then, Kay, if Emma, you want to address this as well, that's fine. But obviously, the NWSL has some very interesting roster rules and salary cap machinations. I'm sure you guys are getting to learn all about it. They're in the news as well at this point. How much have you guys needed to kind of crash course that? And also, how does that impact maybe bringing in some top players from around the world and what you can and can't do with this club?
Yeah, I think it's something I've been familiar with for many years. Having been in the ecosystem, we're fully aware of the salary cap implications, rules, regulations, etc. And I think it lends to Emma's point around problem solving or finding solutions, and it is what it is, and it is the same for all teams. And I think it also leans into what we believe in as well around the philosophy of homegrown, and how do we ensure that within our talent kind of ID and scouting and recruitment systems and structures that we're building ensures that we have a really great pipeline of players that are coming through, as well as establishing top talent from overseas that we want to bring in and really blend that roster. So I don't see it as a challenge, I see it as a huge opportunity, and I think that's something that we'll face head on.
All right, we're going to go to Carrie.
Hi, Kay. Carrie Crowley, San Francisco Standard. Obviously, Bay FC is still a relatively new franchise, and you're building, you brought in a new coach, but how realistically, or how early do you think you can realistically start to compete for NWSL titles?
That's a great question, because if you, we're super impatient, which is, I guess, you would imagine with any performance person, we want to win, right? We're not going to make any bones about that, and I guess you guys want to win. We want to win things. So for sure, you know, if that happens next season, brilliant. But what I guess we want from you guys is your support as we build a system to keep winning. So we don't just want to win football matches, we want to win championships over and over and over, and that's the difference. And that's what we're trying to build here at Bay FC. So we're going to build something here that's special. And will it happen overnight? Performance doesn't happen overnight, but we're going to give it a really good run in this season. We're going to set and build foundations that allows us to fly going forward. So your patience, your support, and your energy as we build this going forwards will be worth it.
All right, we'll keep going down the line.
Jane Kenny, San Francisco Standard. For Kay, Emma's obviously had a lot of success in England. What was your pitch to her to get her to come over here and take on this new challenge?
I think she needed to come and see it. I think we've all been excited by the NWSL for many, many years. So to be part of it, and certainly in the growth of the women's game right now, is really exciting. But when I first came here, and it was an opportunity for me, I think Emma mentioned it earlier, you just fall in love with this club and you fall in love with the area and the ambition. And I think we're both super ambitious, or all of us are super ambitious people. We've got an incredible group of staff that are driving this forward. So when you come and listen to what it is we're trying to build, and when you come and listen and see the impact of the staff and everybody that's trying to come on board with this, like, it's infectious. And I think that was my selling point to Emma, is like, this could be something really special here that we probably may not be able to do elsewhere. So let's go do it in the Bay.
All right, we're going to come back up front to Marissa.
Sorry, I didn't intro myself last time. Marissa Ingemi, San Francisco Chronicle. Both of you have mentioned clarity on playing style and coming to that clarity quite a bit. Does that come, like, do you kind of come to that decision of like what that clarity is going to look like before you start bringing in players, or is that kind of based on who is here and who signs and who's available?
Do you want me to go? Yeah, so I think first of all, establishing a real clear style of play is important, and then building. We're already thinking about the roster build, and we think about this in a kind of almost 2-3 year plan. So where we are today and where we want to get to, and what does a championship winning roster look like within the style of play that we're trying to embed. So of course you need to play within the remit and structure with the players that you have in front of you right now. I think for me that would be error number one, to try and play in a system where you don't have the players that are capable of delivering that. So it's that, and that's the point I mean about the build and the transition. So, you know, we need to make sure we maximize players that we've got right now, and I think we've got some incredible talents that really can grow and evolve, whilst embedding a system and style that we can evolve into. And I think that matrix and the merge of the two is going to be the key to success.
All right, one more question, Alex.
Emma, obviously, I know you said you came out once for the interview, but obviously this club is kind of starting to make a little bit of a move to San Francisco. Have you been out to Treasure Island to see the facility that's being built? And how much of, obviously it's not here yet, it'll be hopefully by next season, but how much of that was kind of a draw for you as part of coming to this club and organization?
Yeah, I think it's huge. You know, as Kay said, when people talk about the club and the ambition and what they're trying to build, I think that's one thing, and you sort of like feel that connection to it. And then you see the investment and the things that they're physically trying to do, and you put those two things together, I think it's hard not to get excited about.
All right, we're going to go to Zoom, and then we'll come back to the room. But first up, Dino.
Dino de Cespedes into the channel podcast. First off, Emma, congratulations on the appointment. Can you talk about some of the strengths that you've been able to identify so far after accounting for where the team's at right now?
I think some of the strengths, as Kay said, I think there's some incredible players at the club, and I think the bit that we're obviously working through now as we're starting to get, you know, into the thick of some of the planning is how do we take that evolution of where are the players at, who are we adding to it, and how do we create that evolution of getting to the place that we're comfortable with the style of play that we want to sort of add. I think that you look at some of the players and the things that they've achieved over sort of like last season as individuals, and some of the things that they're, you know, that some of the international call-ups and that sort of thing. I think it's how do we take them individually to the next level, how do we take them as a team to the next level, and build some of the things that we're trying to do. So I think there's absolutely things that we can develop them as individuals. There's parts that we can add and we can strengthen the roster, and then we sort of dovetail that with our style of play, the principles, all those other things. I think that's what's going to be taking us to the next level right now. So it's about using some of the strengths from last year, but really seeing this as a period of evolution and taking us to the next level.
All right, thanks, Dino. Up next is Brian.
Hello, good to, Brian G's Santa Cruz voice. So I have a two-parter here for you, Emma. You know, when I heard about the announcement, I kind of started doing a little bit of deep diving in there. And yes, you have been a very developmental coach, but one of the things that I thought and one of the things that was important when I talked to Kay at NWSL Championship Week is someone that hates to lose so bad that they are going to fix everything that causes lose. You a bit about your philosophy on that.
Can you talk a little bit about your philosophy of hating to lose?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think it's about right. No one likes to lose, and you never set your team up to. There's been obviously huge. Yes, I've come from a development background, developing players, but I'm like, I've never set up a team not to win a football match, right? And everything that we're doing day to day isn't about just winning one football match. It's how do we win consistently and develop that sustained success. So I'm like, of course, we lose matches. I'll be up all night thinking. Going back to my, one of the things I'm addicted to is the problem solving. We don't get it right. How do we tweak it? How do we evolve it? How do we change it? But it's not necessarily a change of a big swing. Going from actually we've got to change everything and rip everything up and start again. It's what little changes and adaptations do we need to make day to day to help us sustain winning, because I care about winning, but I think you only get sustained winning at the top level by developing every single day. So I'll be up all night if we lose matches, for sure.
Can I just...
And are you looking... okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to build on that as well. In the winning is an outcome, right? And we think a lot about the process, and it's easy to say we want to win, but we obsess on the process of winning. So, making sure no stone is left unturned in everything we do. And, when we had a task way back in a previous role, go win a major tournament, it's easy to say, and it's easy to put a vision up to say this is what we want, and the hard bit and the exciting bit is actually making that a reality and making it happen. And I think we obsess over the process to win, not just the outcome. And I think there's a really important difference in that.
And when you're looking to bring in players, are you looking more for players to fit the system, or are you looking for the best players available and fit the system to the players?
Yeah, I think once you've got clarity in how you want to play, I think that drives the recruitment strategy. I think that, the complexity of the rules and regulations and the salary caps and all those sorts of things adds just an additional layer of problem solving and an opportunity. I think the club's got a great strategy that obviously we've sort of spoke through, and I think it's we know how we want to play. How now do we bring in the right players from a short term, long term, but how do we also just develop the players that we're bringing in to adapt to our style of play as well. I think every player can be adaptable and can be sort of introduced to our style of play. And if someone's got a specific super strength or something they bring to the team, I guess our job is how do we fit that within our game model as well.
All right, thanks.
And thank you.
Thanks, Brian. All right, we're going to go next to Simon Campbell. Simon?
Hi there, Simon Campbell with the San Francisco Business Times. Two questions, if I may. For Emma, it feels like Bay is a club that is super hungry, very ambitious to grow. How high is the ceiling here?
How high do we want it, right? I think everything that we've sort of discussed, the vision of the club, how much people care, the level of investment, I think this club can go on and achieve greatness. Is it going to happen overnight? Hopefully. But I know for sure we'll be doing everything we can to make sure that we can sort of win sustainably at that top level and win championships.
Thank you. And for Kay, it's a question about the multi-club platform model. What are some of the most exciting things about that? And what are some of the things that you want to be careful of or mindful of as you build out the Bay Collective project and how that plays into Bay FC at this moment?
Sure. So I think we should look at Bay Collective as this kind of multi-club ownership as a significant super strength to Bay FC. So right now, Bay FC is the only club to be served by Bay Collective, which means that we have strategic leaders in recruitment, in data and analytics, in female performance and health, in technical, tactical, that are in operations and management of football. We have strategic leads that have lived and breathed the women's game with success for decades. So the support that that ecosystem can drive for Bay FC right now is something that not many other football clubs have. I think that's important for us as the game continues to grow and as obviously the women's football club ecosystem grows. I think the strength for that is when we start adding more clubs to the multi-club ownership group and really casting our net far and wide on how we want to do things outstanding. So, you know, we talk about female athlete health and ACL injuries and hip and breast care and all of this kind of stuff is happening globally. So how do we make sure that we can be at the forefront of excellence while these guys are trying to win football matches every single week? Bay Collective can be paving the way strategically to make sure that we are at the forefront of innovation, we're at the forefront of research, we're at the forefront of technology, while these guys are busy trying to prepare teams to win today. And that's how I kind of see that. The biggest risk is the narrative is wrong. So the biggest risk is that people see this as we want to create the same model in every club within the ecosystem of Bay Collective, and that's not what it is. And we have a phrase of local heart, global ambition, and we live that. And what that means is that for every club within that MCO model, in time, however long that will take, the connection, the identity of each one of those clubs are integral to maintaining and keeping that. The connection with the community, that's the super strength of any club. So we want to harness that, but we want to lift up globally to share good practice and innovation and development to maximize what an MCO can give. And you know what? I think we're going to be the first in the world to do that.
All right, thanks, Simon.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
We're going to go to Soph with Girls on the Ball.
Hi, Emma and Kay. Emma, just a couple of questions for you. The last time I spoke to you, it was very windy in Northampton, so I think this is a bit different. But you were in the national setup for quite a while, and you had to deal with a lot of transition in that space of time in terms of both player pool and in terms of staff as well. So how did you learn to deal with that, and how will that serve you well as you transition into this role?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the bit why I felt I was ready for this next challenge, right? I've had so many years learning from, some of the best people in the world and one of the best, international teams in the world. So I think some of my experiences of, planning and preparing both long-term, short-term, developing a style of play, developing players, how do you prepare a team, how do you develop and drive individual development within a team, how do you do all those things under incredible time constraints? And I think those are the things that have equipped me well from my last 8 years in international football. But prior to that, I was managing in the WSL, and I was at a club that actually reminded me a lot of Bay, that they had super ambition and they had all these amazing people and the connection, and I learned so much in that time because we didn't have the things that I now have now. I was at a club then that didn't have money, that didn't have resources, that didn't have this amazing global network, and I sort of learned life in the trenches a little bit around how to deal with those certain things. So I've had so many experiences that now I'm at a club that actually is going to provide us the best of everything and give us all those performance solutions, all the things that we need to help us be at our best day to day and win football matches.
Thank you, and you are the latest in a line of English coaches coming over to coach in the NWSL. Has anyone reached out to kind of welcome you or offer you some support or advice?
Yeah, do you know what? My phone's never been so busy, actually. I didn't realise, how many people I'd worked with, sort of come across and connected to, and I've really felt just the warmth from everyone at Bay, but generally across the NWSL, and, I'm really excited to just get started now.
Brilliant, thank you so much.
All right, thanks. So if we're going to come back in the room, Evan?
Yeah, hey guys. Obviously, this last season, the club was under league investigation for the culture within it. So I'm curious, Emma, if you could maybe outline your vision for the culture you want to establish, and Kay, like how that factored into the interview process.
Yeah, I think we need to develop a football-first, performance-driven culture, right, where we put the players in the middle. So how do we create an environment where everyone can be themselves? I think that's really important. I'm a big believer that if people can't be themselves and bring the best version of themselves to work and to the thing that they do every day, you're never going to get the best out of them. So how do we create an environment that people feel comfortable being like that? But how do we create an environment that we also want to be the best every single day, and we almost obsess over how we approach things so that we can be successful? As Kay said earlier, we're we're obsessed with the process of winning, and the culture that we develop will be that balance between people bringing the best version of themselves to the club day in, day out, whilst driving for success and brilliance in every single thing that we do, and creating the physical environment around them that allows us to do that, which, you know, you can see in the plans of Treasure Island. It's going to be amazing when that's finished.
I think you've probably all heard the phrase culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's quite a common phrase, and it's something that I kind of feel is really important. You can have the best plan in the world, you can have the best strategy in the world, you can have the best players and staff in the world. If you have a damaged culture, it's going to impact all of those things. So one of the things that, you know, we've built in our previous roles is a high performance culture which allows everyone to thrive. And as Emma just mentioned, the ability to get the best out of everyone, to empower people, and the uniqueness of sport, and certainly a team sport, is treating everybody as an individual. We are a team, but we're also a bunch of individuals. So how do you maximize that individual development and that individual support and empowerment to then bring together a collective team that's all facing in the same direction with the same goal, the same ambition, and the same desires? And I think that was definitely something that we brought into the recruitment process. And I think I've seen this with Emma. I've seen how she's done this with staff. I've seen how she's done this with players. And I have no doubt this is going to be a super strength of ours.
All right, thanks. And we're going to close out with a question here. Kevin?
Hi, Emma. Kevin Nguyen from the San Francisco Standard as well. Last year, the club made a concerted effort to sign and field young players straight from college, and they candidly admitted it was a struggle, right? And that's not an indictment on the players. It's just to go from that level to playing the top flight in the world is tough, and being professional at the same time. Kay, you also mentioned the term impatient. So I was hoping, could both of you reflect on how to thread that needle, and can you do both at once, develop homegrown talent and aspire for titles?
Yeah, you've just described my entire career. That's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. I think there's a way that you can approach all player development, young player development. How do you, when do you push them? When do we want to challenge them and stretch their capabilities? When do we want to, you know, almost protect them a little bit and come off them and give them a little bit of space and time? And I think that push and pull and you know, the right time to put them in and wrapping the right support around them, I think that's something that I've done my whole career. So that's the bit that I think is really exciting, because I think there's a lot of good young talent in the squad.
Is there any nuance you would add to like handling that journey for a player? Because oftentimes maybe, you know, coaches just throw them in because they've had the pressure to play them. Is there any underrated parts about bringing along young talent in a professional?
Yeah, I think you've got to treat every single person and every single player individually. You know, it's never going to be the same journey for every single player. It's never going to be the same. You know, some players will put in and they'll thrive straight away and they'll hit the ground running. Some players will take a little bit of time, but we'll do everything that we can with them to get it right and wrap around. It's not just what they're doing on the grass, it's what they're doing, how are the staff supporting them, what are they doing day to day in their life to take them to that next level. And, you know, it's something that I've literally lived and breathed all my career, and I think every single player we have to approach as an individual, but within the culture, within the style of play, and within the way that we want to approach our work.
I also think it's about blend. So how you blend a squad, so having top young talent is super important, but also having top pros is also really important. People that have literally walked the walk and, you know, and paved the way for some of these players. So that combination is really important for the entire roster and the entire squad. And how you manage then those young players, but also top pros within that. That's part and parcel of outstanding coaching. So I think that's the exciting bit, and that's with any team. I think we've seen it in many teams that we've both worked with, is the magic happens when you can really start blending, and that gives you continuity, consistency, growth, development, and all those things. So I think that's how we anticipate building a sustainable roster.
All right, well, that is it for us today. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We're going to invite Gemma up here in just a moment to take photos, and then we will have some limited availability for stand-ups with all three of them. So again, thank you very much for joining us, and can't wait to get out there on the pitch.